Also with the reflection, discussing the discipline is not just punishment. It is a system issue that, especially right now with everything going on, trying to bridge the gap with our students in the Fort Worth ISD area, trying to bridge that gap academically. So being able to talk about that. And to express the focus to shift from incidents to patterns where we can reduce potential problems. Also, one of the key questions was asking that I asked and what I presented is why is behavior repeating? And one of the things we discussed was it might be uh, a problem when it comes down to the classroom management, problem when it comes down to social emotional learning. So with having advisory, having a homeroom this year, they're gonna be a big positive as well because we're able to check the climate. And if a teacher is not doing that outside of homeroom and not being able to detect or to detect a possible climate change, that's on the teacher. So we discussed that. What can the teacher do when it comes down to the coaching strategies or some of the implementation? Because if the kid having a problem in your class but not having a problem in someone else's class, trying to figure out what can we do, or if you ring that kid up 12 times but he's not being written up anyone else. So where's the breaking point? And as an admin, I know that's one thing that we have to focus on, trying to see, and like I discussed also with Mrs. Batch, is when it comes down to a first year teacher, how can we retain them, where they don't feel overwhelmed, where we just put some things in place with other teachers, mentee, and mentors, where we could partner, where they could talk strategies and how they do things in their class or suggestions or just to build a rapport. Just like we discussed with our freshmen. If we have a freshman orientation, where the freshmen could go ahead and start that bond with they fellow other freshmen they don't know anyone. Same thing with the teachers. So there was some of the things that we discussed, and I felt went great went great in the discussion. The data reflection is always on point that I love to present because sometimes people hear, okay, you have 500 some referrals, but not understanding less than 37% of our kids have at least one or more referrals. And like we have a total of 259 of students that have at least one. Then like I was informing Mrs. Bass, once I did two or more, that dropped 50%. Like those are the things that we want to see. Now, the biggest breakdown, one of the biggest breakdown we also discussed was what can we do to decrease cell phone and disrespect referrals, because those are two leading categories that we've been having issues with. And we talked about implementing the contract. Ms. Bass informed me about the pockets that the district providing the pockets for the phones. We talked about the parent support, where the parent had to sign a contract as well. And when it comes down to the disrespect, what interventions, what do we have in place for it to prevent it or to decrease it? Because we know everything is not going to be prevented. It's going to happen. But how can we decrease? And that's the biggest thing. How can we decrease? The system thinking. We did some system thinking. I wanted to make sure I showed that I understand when it comes down to discipline trends. I understand, link to the classroom, hallway, and engagement patterns. I wanted the teachers with high DILs, when I talked about the DILs, often have high referrals. last year when we had the deals in place, we was able to also collect the data on the teachers who was possibly struggling when it comes down to the classroom. We haven't been able to have that, even though we could figure out the referrals, but we were trying to figure that out before it get to the referral part. How can we prevent the referral? What suggestion can we give that teacher, or what coaching or strategies we could give a teacher? And one of the things, like I informed Mrs. Batts, that I love that the school been doing, that we did this year, was the teacher walkthrough. We had several teachers to walk through different classrooms, looked at the pros, what the good, the positive that was happening, and if it was any negatives that were happening. And they collectively put their feedback on a piece of paper, and the instructional coach was able to deliver it and discuss, and to use that as a teaching tool and a growth tool. Because at the end of the day, it's all about growth. It don't matter how long you've been teaching, you could always use some type of growth, because the kids are different. The kids are changing. Things are changing. Rules are changing. Policies are changing. So with that being said, we discussed the leadership growth. How can we improve data analysis and decision making? How can we increase confidence presenting to leadership? And when it comes down to thinking at a campus-wide level, and one of the things that Ms. Batts said something to me about was, which I do it in my class, is, hey, let's get the kids involved. It's a team effort. It's not just about the adults here, it's about the kids, because the ultimate goal is having the kids being successful, the kids being involved. And so what I'm gonna work on is continuing asking kids, hey, what do you want to see at Dunbar? Whether it's chess, whether whatever club, whether it's I know we just started Fellowship Christian Club, Students Club, trying to implement more of those things to make the kids want to come to school, because we are dealing with kids who they don't have the support outside of here. So a lot of our students, when it comes down to poverty, we at a 92%. So education is not the first priority with our students. So how can we make the students want to come? And that's one of the things that we look into. And also, there was extracurriculum. Being able to provide extracurriculum where we could get a kid something to look forward to, where he or she don't want to misbehave, where they know if I misbehave, I might not be able to do X, Y, and Z. And to me, that's not gonna only help them with education, it's gonna help them as a person. Because once they get done with school or get done here, it's gonna be some things that happen in their life where they got to understand, if you don't do this, what happens? It's consequences. And there's some of the challenges that we facing that's outside of our control. Like I was talking about earlier with the fight. We had several fights that happened out of our control. I feel like we responded in a good manner, a good time, but it might not look like it to the public eye when they don't understand. So we talked about that, just the daily discipline issues, fights, removals, the time restraint, balancing, where I just feel like instead of a kid being in ISS all day, they just need a quick reset. Whether it's just a lunch, where they just need hey, this game, because our kids do want to go off campus and eat. So there's ways to implement and to look and put in place, plans to put in place where it could be effective, And like I was informed with Ms. Batts, our kids respect a person that's real and a person that's consistent. our teachers respect a person that real, a person that consistent, because at the end of the day, is I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. And this how I feel like to be an effective administrator. That's how you got to be. You know, if you want your culture, now you notice I didn't say school. If you want your culture, which is your school, if you want the culture to be right, you have to make it right. How you do that, you got to put in place some things. You got to be real. You got to prioritize. You got to be flexible. You got to make everyone involved. Everyone feel important. No one is left behind. And I know it's hard to do at times, especially with the situation what my district going through. But at the same time, we got to keep our eyes on the prize, which is becoming a better school and also make sure our kids become better academically, socially, mentally, and at the end of the day, have the success. And like we talked about right now, our senior is at an 85% college career military readiness. That's that's a big positive, and I feel like how challenge could be managed. Once again, we got to stay flexible and adjust plans. But in order to do that, we got to put those plans in place first to see, hey, this not working. Maybe we need to do this. Prioritize urgent versus important. Urgent versus important. That's big as a leader, understanding that. Focus on progress, not perfection, because nothing is perfect. But if we can see progress, the increase to get better, that is important. And one of the things that I see that is the 3 o'clock. No passes after 3 because of instructional time being missed. That then got a whole lot better because we've been consistent. We've been consistent. We done targeted those students who used to be out, and we done spoke with the teachers who was allowing it. And with that being said, it done got better, and we collaborated with staff. Like everyone is important. Everyone need to have a voice if possible, when it comes down to certain things. You know, being in those team meetings, being in the SBDM meetings, being in a master schedule meeting to hear the teachers talk about holding other teachers accountable. Because at the end of the day, it starts with us as teachers. It starts with the staff. It start with us. What are we doing to make sure that we doing what we supposed to do where we could get our kids to fall in line? And the final thing that I feel, which was a great thing, is the school improvement is about building systems. We know when it comes down to the education system, it's levels. It's levels. If we want things to go good here, go great here, it's levels. In order to reach higher levels, we have to be able to do, we have to be able to show, we got to be consistent, we have to be dedicated, we have to build rapport, build relationship, show interest. Because even when it comes, what I mean by showing interest, even when it comes down to our kids, for example, the kids, our athletes, going to catch one of their games because they might not have that support. So us going to catch one of those games, show the kids like we do sincerely care about you. And that could be your breaking point right there. So overall, I think the meeting went well. I think everything went well. I got great feedback. I think everything that I needed to implement or to talk about, what's in the slide, except for the feedback on what the kids want to see, what the kids want to do. So going forward, I will be working on that as well. And I'd like to thank you all for your time. Once again, my apologies for the late video with everything going on these last couple of weeks. But that was also a teaching moment for me to see this and to go through this, because it's more than just a grade. This here, to me, this is my passion. This is what I care about. And that's been a challenge to me, you know. I want to apply to our principals, the principal, the APs, assistant principal, and the staff, how I feel like we took a hit in the chin, but we still working, you know, because they're not a reflection of our school. And as a campus administrator, it's important for our team. It's important for our team to understand, hey, we in this together regardless. We in this together regardless. We could control only what we could control. And we're gonna finish this year strong. Like I told my principals and I told my assistant principals, I appreciate y'all, we're gonna finish this strong. Regardless of what being hit, who coming to take over the district. We're gonna finish strong because we can only control what we can control. And it's important that the staff feel it and the staff know that. And once again, I appreciate your time and I thank you all. And this is my reflection on my school action plan. Thank you.